Welcome to On Texas Football. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Coach Bryan Erwin, two-time state championship high school winning coach for the Lamar Cougars back in the day, now in private business, but still keeps up with the Longhorns each and every week. He's got a lot of experience in the playoffs, so state playoffs, albeit not the National College Football playoffs. But I thought it would be good to bring Bryan in this week and kind of discuss exactly what's going on right now and how you get the team ready, et cetera, for a playoff. And it's kind of that time of year, Bryan, where everything gets laid on the line. The guys have to be very in tune and focused, and have to get your you have to get your pregame stuff, plans in, all that stuff. What's going on right now, in your opinion, from the coaching staff's perspective as they look forward to January 1st?
I think it's a fresh approach. Once you get into the playoffs, you just got this fresh approach to what you're doing, and everybody's fine-tuned, everybody's focused. You're not worrying about, are we going to be up or are we going to be down on Saturday, like you are during the course of a regular season, because you can't be at your best every single week during the regular season. It's just too taxing. But just the preparation. Just being laser focused on the game plan. Obviously, at the college level and what we're looking at here, we've got a few weeks before the game, so it's different than high school. I'm not even going to try to begin to compare it to what high school faces week in and week out. But you got your kids laser focused. They've had a week, 10 days off or so, and now it's about getting the pads back on. Getting their legs back under them. But at the end of the day, just like Sark did at the end of the season, we've got to have our legs, big time when we face Washington. And it's a combination of pushing and having some contact and getting some conditioning in, staying in the weight room, all that good stuff, getting the game plan implemented. So you got to do those things, and you got to push hard, but you got to have your legs. And that's what Sark, man, our kids – they had their legs at the end of the season. He did such a great job helping the players finish fast and strong like they did. So that's going to be the name of the game. We got to have our legs against Washington.
You mentioned Washington, Bryan, and I got to be honest. I was talking to Rod Babers yesterday, former Longhorn, and it was interesting how he was talking about how Michael Penix is a guy that throws the deep ball extraordinarily well. 44% completion rate on deep balls. Their best deep ball player is Rome Odunze, a wide receiver that is 6'3", 215 pounds. And according to Pro Football Focus or Advanced Stats, he's caught 70% of one-on-one catches.
Wow!
So they've got a group. Penix led the country in passing. How do you even attempt to start to slow down that kind of prodigious offense? Like are you Sark? Are you looking for? And Pete Kwiatkowski, are you looking for, small ways to make a big difference?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of getting some pressure, maybe not sacking Penix, but getting some pressure in his face with all those deep balls. You've got to be able to step into the ball a little bit. And if we can just get some push and affect his lower half as he's trying to make those deep throws, that's big. We got to count on a couple overthrows, or two, just flat out mistakes by them. They're gonna make their plays. They're gonna make their plays downfield. They're gonna have some explosives. We know that. We know they're gonna try to match up with our safeties, and they're gonna try to get slot receivers, outside receivers mashed up against our safeties for some intermediate and deep throws. And they're gonna make their plays. They're gonna have their explosives. But again, I think, Bobby, it goes back to stop the running game, just like we've done the same recipe. We've got to stop the running game. We can't take anything for chance, and make sure we get the running game stopped in stone like we have all season long with everybody we play, and then force them to play one-handed or left-handed. And in this case, not Penix. We need to make Penix play right-handed. So he's going to miss some throws. We're going to make some plays. They're going to make some plays. But at the end of the day, we got to make them one-dimensional, and we know what that one dimension is, and that's the passing game. And then we've got to, come out 50-50 in the passing game.
Got it. All right. I want to say before I ask your next question for Bryan Erwin, Bryan, I want to say thank you to our sponsor. That's Laura Baker of Keller Williams Realty. She's been helping people inside and around the Austin area for decades. Big time Longhorn fan and a great person to know and work with. Make sure you reach out to her at 512-784-0505 or visit her or send her an email, at Laura@AndyAllenTeam. That's 512-784-0505 or email her at Laura@AndyAllenTeam.com. Just a good person all around. We appreciate her sponsorship of Lunch with the Coach. Hey, Bryan, I've got a question for you. I was asking Rod this question too. Washington, much like Texas, uses a lot of pre-snap motion. They've got the advanced quarterback. They got all the receivers that have 3 receivers have 1,000-yard seasons over the last 2 years.
Yeah,
they're a experienced offense. Is that something that the extra weeks of practice, you think, for the Texas defense, identifying those things, can actually help the Texas secondary? Because you only have 1 week to prepare for a team like Washington. They might just confuse you like crazy.
Yeah, that's a great point, Bobby. I think so. There's no doubt it's going to help us because we're going to have to be pretty crafty with what we're doing defensively. Penix does not need to know what we're doing pre-snap. It needs to happen post-snap. He's got to figure out what we're doing post-snap. If we let him know what we're doing pre-snap, we're going to be in trouble. He's going to make more explosives than we would like for him to. I think the extra, couple of weeks of preparation with all their motions and shifts, I'm intrigued by the guys that have the ability to match motion with guys across the formation. Whether it's Janae Barron, at the start position, matching motion and shifts and things like that, and where it looks like and it appears to the quarterback that we're playing man, but we can play zone by matching motions and coverage. That stuff really intrigues me. A lot of the guys at the pro level do it. I think, we could end up doing it. And then sometimes, we don't match motion and he thinks we're in zone, but we're playing man. So those are things we're going to have to do to really confuse him. We can't give him a pretty picture pre-snap. It's got to be post-snap or he's figuring everything out. And then what happens then? We're playing fast. We're getting a push with our DTs. We're getting some edge pressure. And that confusion is probably our best chance and opportunity to slow them down.
They are a prolific offense, Bryan. 11th in the country in scoring, the number 1 passing offense in the country. Their defense, though, 33rd in defensive efficiency, but not necessarily a team that is great at defense, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think Texas needs to be looking at on offense, all this off time? Because that, you talk about them being such a passing team. Texas has a lot of passing elements as well, of course, mm-hmm. but that tends to take some execution level down a notch in bowl games. How does mm-hmm. Texas, heading into this playoff game, manage that with a guy like Quinn Ewers?
I think just the experience Quinn's got, the experience Sark's got, implementing game plans at this level, this late in the season with this much lead time. Again, it goes back to not just the game plan, but your body and having your legs and feeling fresh, and then having a game plan that you can go implement. It's got to be complex, but it's got to be simple. And that's the key is making it appear to be complex, but it's simple in nature, and we're just doing what we do. I think we're more balanced than they are. I think that helps us because of our run game. We like Sark says, we have a versatile way of winning football games offensively. And I think that helps us because we can, if one's not clicking, we can go to the other for a short period of time till we get the other one clicking. Screen game was so good to us late in the season, I thought. And screens are all about timing, and that timing is what you're referring to. Are we going to have that timing when the game kicks off against Washington? They're asking themselves the same question. But I like Sark's experience doing this and how to implement it and how to get it done.
Got it. All right. Speaking with Bryan Erwin, 2-time state championship head coach of the Lamar Cougars. Bryan, the other question I want to ask you is this: the portal. I was speaking to someone earlier or last week now about Texas and their efforts in the portal.
Mm-hmm.
So as a head coach, describe the thought process of bringing someone in, not a ton, but 5 to 7 or 4 to 6
Mm-hmm.
at the midway or after guys have already been on campus for 2 and 3 years, and you're trying to add them to your existing culture. So Adonai Mitchell is a great, example. Gavin Holmes. Those are good examples of guys that have come in and played. But then you have guys that have been an issue, like maybe an Ajay Hall or Jaleel Billing. As a coach, what are you looking for there? It almost seems like they've got to make sure they get the right pieces more than just the right players. You agree with that?
I do, and I think we're at a different stage than we were 2 years ago when we brought in Billingsley and those guys back then, and in a lot of cases for a lot of teams and a lot of programs throughout the country where they are right now, they have to take a chance. They have to take a chance on a guy, growing up and maturing and being going from a marginal character guy to a good character guy and a good teammate. Right now, we do not have to take that chance. We're not going to take that chance. We're in a can't miss situation. We can't miss. Those other teams, those other programs can miss a little bit because they're taking a chance. We're in a situation we can't miss. We're going after the complete package. It's perfection. It's either all or none. We're going to get the guy that can run, that can jump, that can catch, that can block, and he's got great character, and he's doing the right things on and off the field, in the classroom, the whole 9 yards. We're probably vetting them through social media. We're vetting them big time behind the scenes, and you got to make sure that they're the right guy, because our culture is too pristine right now. The program's come too far. We're not in position, and we don't have to take chances. We're in a perfect scenario where we can go after a good kid that can flat out play like a dog, and that's what we're after.
Got it. So you really endorse that view. I mean, because I think your point was 2 years ago, different Texas team.
Yeah.
Now they're in the college. They were 5 and 7. Now they're in the college football playoff, and we're looking at a group of guys that and they've recruited well too, Bryan. I mean, 2 consecutive back-to-back top 5 classes in recruiting.
Yeah.
And this year's recruiting class is going well again. It seems like you don't want to mess with what you got building, and that takes on increased importance the higher the stakes almost.
Yeah. One guy can screw it up, not permanently, but temporarily. One guy can screw it up, and we're going to do all we can to not let one guy screw it up. There's so much vetting. Can you imagine what you can look at these days with social media and all that stuff? So I'm sure that we're going to go through it, with a fine-tooth comb and get a guy that's a dog on the field. He can flat out play, but he's going to do the right things off the field and in the classroom.
Gotcha. I've got a couple more questions for you, but first I want to say thanks again one final time to our sponsor. That's Laura Baker of Keller Williams Realty. In and around Austin, there's no one better to have on your side than Laura Baker. She is the best realtor in the capital city and surrounding areas. 512-784-0505. That's 512-784-0505, or email her, at Laura@AndyAllenTeam.com. Thank you, Laura, for your sponsorship of Lunch with the Coach. Bryan, look, you and I started talking 2 years ago, and 5 and 7. Just give me a feel for. I mean, you're a Longhorn grad. You've been in the coaching profession. What does this kind of turnaround feel like? Is everything you believe in kind of validated and put into perspective as a coach, or what are your thoughts on Sark and that sort of situation?
Validation, that term you just used, I think is spot on, because we heard it all last year. Why couldn't we have gotten a coach like TCU got, or like USC got, or like LSU got? Because those teams, they turned it around year one under their new coach. And we know, you and I both know, that's just not how it happens. And you got to have some magical stuff already in place for things to happen like that. TCU's roster was already very well established. USC's roster was well established. LSU. And we just say, hey, we got to be patient. Let Sark build this thing, because what Sark took over 2.5, 3 years ago, however you want to look at it, was completely different than any other pro. We can't get into comparisons. Comparisons get you all messed up. When you're talking about relationships and you start comparing people in your life and in your relationships, it can really jack you up if you let your mind go there. Don't be a comparison guy. Sark did this the right way. Now he's validated for as patient as he's been. He's done it through a very patient, in my opinion, patient process, not a quick fix. It took some time. Our roster was a mess when he took over. We didn't have offensive linemen. We didn't have defensive linemen. And we looked like an average football team when you looked at our linemen, and did for a number of years prior to that. When I watched our guys playing on TV, I'm like, we just don't look like a powerhouse football team. And he slowly built that. Kyle Flood, a lot of credit. Bo Davis, a lot of credit. Kwiatkowski, ton of credit. Jeff Banks, ton of credit. And all the coaches, strength staff, the support staff, having one message, being patient, doing it the right way. And obviously it even goes higher up, because he's had the confidence to do it this way, because probably Chris Del Conte said, hey, you got time. We're behind you 100%. And the beauty of this thing is it wasn't a quick fix. If it's a quick fix, it's easy.
It could be a house of cards, right?
Exactly. It's not legit. It's not real. If you go into a deal, it's a quick fix. It's fun when it's like this. When we go from 5-7 now to where we are now, and that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it worthwhile. Because if it was easy, it's just not that worthwhile. When it's difficult like this and a struggle, it makes it that much sweeter.
Another question that popped in my head as you were talking there. Steve Sarkisian really spent his offseason. I think he took one weekend vacation all year this past summer.
Yeah.
A long weekend. He said that his words were, I really wanted to stay in contact and be there for the guys this summer, to know that I was as committed to them as they would be. I wanted them to be to me.
Mm-hmm.
You're a former coach.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it kind of takes? Is that kind of dedication and showing, not telling, from leadership? Yeah,
the connection that he has, like he's mentioned, with Devondre Sweat and the defensive line, or the secondary, or the kicker, or the punter, that kind of connection takes time, and it takes a commitment and intentionality to build those relationships. And it's cool to see a guy at that level value that and invest in that, because there's so many coaches at that level that don't. They just don't invest in it. They're aloof to a certain extent, and you can tell Sark is just not an aloof guy. He's a very genuine, authentic. Those are the words he used. I remember at his press conference. He said, I'm just an authentic guy. I'm a very genuine guy. And I love that, because that's the way I was. That's the way I coach. I mean, you just pour it all in, and you invest. You try to develop those relationships with the entire team. It zaps you. I mean, it zaps a lot of energy from you. He's going to need a vacation or two after this season. He needs a couple of breaks. So one more point I want to make, Bobby, with the portal I was thinking about that popped into my head, this was one of my number one beliefs as a coach. It's not about who you're willing to win with. It's about who you're willing to lose with. That was my number one barometer at the end of the day. I'll win with anybody. You'll win with anybody. Sark will win with anybody. I'm talking about, character-wise and culture-wise and, good, bad, ugly, all that good stuff. Man, I'm telling you, I love to win, and I'll win with anybody. At the end of the day, when you put your head on the pillow, it's who are you willing to lose with is what it comes down to. And I think that's the way I'm thinking about the portal is, who am I willing to lose with? We're going to lose some games along the way, maybe this year, maybe next year. There's games to be lost. We know that. There's championships to be won. But at the end of the day, it's not about who I'm willing to win with, because I'll win with anybody. It's who I'm willing to lose with when I put my head on the pillow. And because the worst feeling in the world you have as a coach is when when you've got a guy on your team, you got a guy in that locker room, you played a guy, last night, and you got your butt beat. And you got your butt beat because of him, because he didn't respond the right way, and you knew good well going into it that he was a problem, that he was a cancer, and he didn't fit culturally, and he wasn't prepared, and he cost you the game. It's hard to stomach. So it's about who you're willing to win with, about who you're willing to lose with, not who you're willing to win with.
That's great stuff. Good stuff, Coach. All right, that's going to do it for today's Lunch with the Coach with Bryan Erwin. Special thank you to Laura Baker of Keller Williams Realty. For Bryan, I'm Bobby Burton, and this has been On Texas Football. Hook 'em.
Hook 'em.